Talk about President Biden officially unveiling the $1.8 trillion American Families Plan this morning. So this is part of Biden's three-tiered Build Back Better economic initiative, which also includes the stimulus bill passed back in March, as well as the $2.3 trillion infrastructure package. And if signed into law as is, which it will not be, among other things, the new plan would provide $200 billion for free universal preschool for all 3- and 4-year-olds, reduce the cost of childcare for low and middle-income families, allocate $109 billion for 2 years of free community college, including for non-citizen immigrants brought to the United States as children, aka dreamers, give $1,400 in additional assistance to low-income students through Pell Grants, recruit more teachers, and strengthening the education workforce, specifically in communities of color, create a comprehensive nationwide family and medical leave program, provide more nutrition assistance for children, including expanding school meals programs and summer meals programs when school is out, and finally, extend a number of tax credits aimed at helping lower and middle-income families that were increased under the last stimulus package. Right, and that including higher Affordable Care Act premiums, tax credits, and the child tax credit aimed at fighting child poverty. Now, notably, according to the official fact sheet detailing the plan, those tax cuts will be $800 billion of the final price tag, but that still leaves $1 trillion in new spending. And as far as how that will be funded,
cut it from the military budget. The fact sheet says will raise about $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years. This, including increasing the marginal income tax for the top 1% of American earners from 37% to 39.6%, which would actually just restore the top bracket to what it was before Trump's 2017 tax law. He has also proposed raising the capital gains and dividend tax rates for those who earn more than $1 million a year, beefing up IRS enforcement, and closing other tax loopholes that benefit wealthy Americans and large corporations, including a provision in the tax code that reduces capital gains on some inherited assets like vacation homes. Right, so a very big, a very ambitious plan, and not only fuck the 1%, but we've been putting 70 to 80% of our tax dollars into the military for like so long, and none of that even actually goes down to like the actual soldiers or the programs that actually help the soldiers with like education or medical. I mean, I'm sure DJ, you're aware, but I personally have heard so many stories of how awful the VA is, how awful the medical care can be within the military, that the mental health, specifically like military therapists, it's a fucking joke. It's basically just like, yeah, okay, cool, get back out there. And so like, it's like none of that money is actually going towards like the things that really should be, or at least at this point needs to be, because we've already built up enough of the other crap. So if you're not going to do that, then start moving that money other places where it can do great things. Medical sucks. See? It took me going to civilian doctor to get a straight answer from docs on my knee. Jesus Christ. Yeah, see, that's ridiculous. And you would think, like, I assumed growing up, oh, militaries have got the best doctors, probably. Like, the fucking best doctors around. I bet that dude could fucking, like, knock on your body and be like, oh, it's fucking, yeah, you fractured your fucking blah, blah, blah. Let me just do this magical little trick we have for fixing this, and you're good to go. And it's like right as rain. No, turns out it's a lot of jerry-rigging and like fucking duct tape the body up and just be like, yeah, that probably isn't good and won't hold and you shouldn't be doing this, but we really need you out there. It's a god. What the fuck are they doing with the money though? Nukes. Nukes, counter nukes, IBCs or ICBMs, I mean, IBCs, I wish. ICBMs and fucking shit like that. I mean, it's just all weaponry, tanks, railguns, aircraft carriers, airplanes. I mean, fuck. What's really sad is even if you ask our Air Force, our airplanes even need attention to some extent, but it's not even worth really doing because like the last stealth planes we built, you know, those B-1 or I don't know if they're called B-1 bombers, but the triangle plane things, those cost billions of dollars to build each. We have like a handful of them or something, billions of dollars each, but the cockpits are tiny, and because they're so small, because of the way they were built and when they were built, they have such old technology in them and don't even have the physical space to have updated technology in them. But to take apart those planes and build new modernized stealth planes would cost billions, if not trillions of dollars for a plane. We've got like two. So guns, big bombs, guns. Here's some more Charger socks. sucks. That's fucking. The only caveat is maintenance on all the equipment we use. That's true. That's true. Maintenance is very important. And from what I understand, we don't even get enough maintenance. And that's a classic story in America too. You look at maintenance in the military, look at infrastructure in America. Like we don't really do maintenance until it needs maintenance. That's kind of our way, you know, like if it ain't broke to the point of not working, don't fix it. That's the more accurate. And maintenance is expensive as fuck. It's awful to keep up. America just love to have weapons. Yep. In case war, not just in case war, but to prevent war. America operates a lot.
Look on paper, you think that the Democrats could.
America operates a lot on the idea of our weapon casts the longest, biggest shadow, you know, and a lot of the allies we have do too. And a lot of that probably came about during the Cold War, honestly. When Russia and America, also a little bit China, kind of got into an arms race, and then we had the whole being so close to nuclear destruction, and then the Mutually Assured Destruction Act being signed. Like between all of those things, I think that's created a situation where most governments feel a paranoia that requires them to feel able to adequately neutralize a threat with the biggest threat possible, which is like all in the fucking planet, bro. Because like America has enough nukes. I mean, I remember learning this when I was like in school as a child, but like when I was a child, America had enough nukes to like mathematically level the planet 7 times at least. That was just America. Several other countries that are economic powerhouses or global powers also had enough nuclear weapons or just weapons to level the planet at least once, if not several times. So like for a long time now, every country, if not the whole world, has had more than enough weapons than it ever will need forever. Like for a fucking long time. But we still make them because we're human, you know? If they have a bigger pile of weapons, I feel a little scared. And the best way for me to feel less scared is to start working on my pile of weapons. It's weird, but we're just dumb. I don't know. America high-key sucks, not gonna lie. I feel that. It sucks, but it has the opportunity to be such a beautiful place. And it can be a beautiful place. I mean, America is beautiful in small places and small spaces and in certain moments. And it's horrifying in others. But the paperwork that's been laid here and the groundwork that's been laid here it didn't start out that way. It didn't start out nearly as peaceful as it played to be, nearly as coexisting as it claimed to be, but the groundwork's there for it to be shifted into that now. And that opportunity is exciting to a lot of us. Let's prevent war by getting more guns and bombs and threaten other countries that don't. Yeah, exactly. The whole military budget is too much. Isn't even on weapons. It's on resources to keep presence. Exactly! It's about colonialism! It's about colonialism and occupation of other countries and not the actual protection of the oh my god, preach! We're actually working on talks with Russia, China, and Iran on denuclearization. That is sick. That's great, but everyone has to be on board, else there will be conflicts. Exactly. Like, I mean, the fact that we pulled out of the Iranian nuclear agreement. It is, but all bad shit just comes up more often than the pretty parts. Yeah, that's true. This is more directed towards Korea and such. Yeah.
Try to approve both this plan and the infrastructure proposal as well without any Republicans. But, I mean, that very much seems like an uphill battle. Right, as we've talked about before, several centrist Democrats have called for the infrastructure bill to be bipartisan and will likely do the same for the American Families Plan. Biden, for his part, has said that he will negotiate with Republicans to reach a compromise, but it isn't clear what that could look like. I mean, if you look at the infrastructure plan, for example, the Republican counterproposal was a mere fraction of Biden's proposal at $568 billion.
That's true.
Republicans have largely
That's
signaled
true.
that they are much less.
That's true, DJ. And I struggle with that too, because I do see a lot of good things happening. But I think part of that is natural, because when I see a good thing happen, I take some energy from it. I feel good, and it does warm my heart. But when I see, and maybe that energy or that action will inspire me, you know, to carry that forward in some way and pay it forward. But when I see something negative, the empathy fires off and I feel much stronger, and I feel an action needs to be taken, must be taken, something must be done. And the difference there, I think, for me at least, the maybe and must, I think that's why my brain naturally tends to dwell on the negative, because part of me feels like something must happen here. This cannot go unaddressed. And the other part of me is just like, this was really nice to see, very warm to see. I might share this, you know, something like that. But I do consciously try and share and acknowledge and appreciate positive things. And I have been, especially lately, to try and like maintain some sort of balance for my own psyche. But I do think that's why we tend to focus on the negative, or at least that's what it feels like for me. I don't know.
Interested in investing more money in education, childcare, and paid leave, and much more interested in spending on
America's That's true, and no one knows what to do, and that's also a hard thing.
Aides saying that lawmakers
like, no one knows how to fix anything, but I know we need to start talking about it to at least try and fix it.
Still, it just makes sense to cover it. It was announced. We need
to know
what is at play here, and then we watch it just kind of all go to shit, as always, in Congress. I mean, that's kind of what we do. So yeah, on that happy note, we're just going to have to wait.
Yeah, no shit, they'll rewrite the bill a million times.
Ultimately, with this story, and honestly, anything else that stood out.
Damn, all right. Wow. Take Greta Thunberg as an example. She wants us all to be driving electric cars, right? So what repercussions does that have? More child labor in third world countries, and to mine the cobalt for batteries for those cars. She actually doesn't want us all driving electric cars, though, because she understands that the mining of cobalt and the mining for the batteries of electric cars is more harmful on the environment at a rate than actually using fossil fuel cars currently. She thinks there needs to be a shift away from fossil fuels, but electric is not the answer, because electric still, the mining of those processes is so damaging to the environment, and also the batteries themselves are pretty damaging to the environment. She understands we need to start looking back into hydrogen cars. When I was in high school, there was a team of people who created a hydrogen car. It could run off of hydrogen in the air. It was 300 times more fuel efficient than a gasoline car because it used hydrogen. Yeah, they are a great concept. They produce zero pollution. We have hydrogen fucking everywhere, dude. So like just like a really ideal situation, but they couldn't package this engine or sell it or patent it or anything because of lobbyists for the oil industry who prevent the manufacturing, patenting, and selling of alternative engine styles for commercial vehicles. That's the truth. So Greta understands, just got to get to the building. Greta understands that we cannot do electric cars, but I see your point. I see your point. You are very right, DJ, that like these problems are so complicated and we have so many systemic issues kind of woven in that we need to be very careful with how we start solving some of these problems. And like to your point on the child labor and enslaving of people for the cobalt mining, that's a very valid point, but also a direct product of capitalism in the United States existing. Because what happens is you have business owners who quickly see these people here, for whatever reason, have rights, and I have to pay them so much and give them fucking benefits and fucking parental leave and all this shit. But this other country doesn't have that. So I can outsource my factory over here where they don't have those rights. That's great. Now I can pay them less, all that shit. Great. But what all is happening there? Now this country that may be communist, may be socialist, maybe whatever, may just be a developing country. It is now dependent, it is now occupied very much economically by the United States and some rich people who have great power in that country, which happens to be a country of significance in the world, just as it plays out. And furthermore, now this country has entire cities, factories, jobs, like their economy is now dependent upon the capitalistic economy and success of this business and of America. So
It's capitalism invading other spaces, demanding the workforce at such low rates for sake of profit that it's literally like a fucking tree of vines and shit, just like reaching into everywhere it possibly can grab just to suck all the resources out while giving as little back. Like, that's literally what it is. I just hate rich people. The rich people that source out all the work with random ass countries. If we were more self-dependent, it would be much better. It would be, but that we would be. And when you say we, you mean us. You mean us down here on the bottom. But capitalistically speaking, we would not be. Capitalistically speaking, we'd be a weaker country. We would lose less influence. We would lose influence. We would lose occupation. We would lose economic control over other countries. We would lose so much. And that is why we won't. That's just the nature of capitalism.